For the two arms, we're going to use this 5/4 stock by 5.5, and this is 36 inches long, or about 36. So in order to make things easy, I have a template that I'm going to follow. So the first thing I'll do is I will, on the combination miter saw, I will cut the end square on both of these so that this is a nice clean cut right here. And then I will put this on, line it up with the ends and the sides, and then I'll just trace where the corners round. So this is rounded here, and then one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this a little bit. I'm going to add about 1/2 inch here. The first chair I made with this leg was made with 2x4 legs out of oak. This one I'm making with 4x4 legs, so I need a little more room down here for that leg to sit. So I'm going to round this over here. We'll draw that line there, and then there's just a little bit of a rounding here. And that's it. So one thing I did do before I did this, or before I put the template on here, was I looked at both sides of this, and both sides actually looked pretty good. So I just chose this side at random, but double check to make sure that all of your edges are clean and there's no dents or anything that might cause you to want to move the template around a little bit or use a better side. So now what we'll do is we'll take this over to the bandsaw and we'll cut this extra off. Okay, so I've set my depth on the bandsaw and we're ready to make our cuts. Okay, so now we have all of this cut out on the bandsaw. What we want to do is we want to finish these edges so they're nice and smooth. So I'm going to put this in the vise. We want this to be nice and flat. So I'm going to use this longer plane. Turn it sideways. That should be pretty good. Take a little bit more off up here. I'm going to switch to the little block plane here. And then I'll round this over just a little bit with the block plane. There, so that's nice and straight. And now we're going to do the end pieces here. And this, a couple different ways you could do this. What I like to do sometimes is with the block plane, just go across like this. And that will smooth it out a little bit. And the other way that I have done this before as well, if I want to put a corner on here, is I have a 12-inch disc sander that sometimes works really well to just round these over, and especially for some of these larger pieces on the back here, or larger arches, or I'm sorry, the larger curves here. I left the line on here, almost all the line, and I will follow that to make these nice and straight. So, why don't we just do that? Let's do that so you can see how that's done. I did get the spoke shave out, and I have used that as well. Sometimes it's not as effective, but as you take it around like this, that actually works quite well. It takes a little bit off, and then we're always going to round the top here. You see that works really well for rounding over those edges too. The block plane actually works also pretty well for that too. You just rotate it like this for rounding that over. But let's just take a quick trip over there to, I do like the 12-inch drum sander for some of these projects, so let's use it for that, and I'll show you how I would do that. Alright, so the 12-inch disc sander can be a lot of help. I will usually hook it up to my vacuum, or the dust collection, and it goes over on the side right over here. And this will get a little bit noisy. So to clean it off, I have one of these, just a kind of a big eraser. You can touch it against here, and we'll clean it off first, and then you'll watch how I basically just put this up here, start kind of on the straight part here, and just slowly turn, and it will give this a nice finished edge. Alright. Alright, so you can see that makes pretty quick work of this. There are sometimes a few little disc sander marks in there. Some of those we can just take off with the plane, or we can use the scraper, the cabinet scraper. So let's go back to the vise now, and I'm going to show you how we round these over and round these corners over with the block plane and the spoke shave. Okay, so to round these over, it's pretty simple. We'll do the same thing we did before, where we'll put a chamfer on here. If we want to speed things up a little bit, we can take the larger plane. And that gives us our chamfer, about 1/4 inch. And then I finish that round over by just angling this. There, that has a nice feel to it. Now for the corners, there's really no magic to this. What I usually will do is I will just take this, give it a little more of a bite here. And you can do the same thing here. You're using it kind of like a chisel. And just keep working with it, with the edge. Now you could also use your spoke shave if you get comfortable with it. Be careful just to take a little bit and try to angle it. And you can see you can get it pretty close. This is breaking out a little bit here, so I'll use this, which doesn't seem to break out quite as much. Just like that. Just kind of let that blend into there. And then when you're all done, you can hit it with a little bit of the sandpaper just to blend it in a little bit. You can see how I still have a little bit of work to do here. Blend it in a little bit more there, but that's basically how I do it. These the straight pieces here on the very end, if you just keep your plane angled so it cuts on a diagonal, it'll do a pretty good job. If you find there's a little bit of breakout there or chattering, you can go more off the end too. And you can hit that with a little bit of sandpaper. And that will round over nicely as well. Keep in mind that I'm going to paint this white, so I don't want it to be too perfect, and the paint will fill in some of that, but I'm also going to come back on the edges and scuff it off some of that white paint to give it a little more of a weathered look. So I'll continue all the way around this and around here as well to finish this off. Now I will tell you that if all this seems to be just a little bit too much, you certainly can take this entire piece and just get like a 3/8 inch round over bit in your router or your router table. And you'll get something that looks like this. So this looks nice. I'm not saying that this is bad, but I did one just to kind of show you what that would look like. And you still have some tear out a little bit here. I don't mind that as much because that's going to be kind of roughened in. It looks okay. It looks a little bit too perfect and machined for me. I tend to prefer something more like this that isn't quite so perfect. But that is certainly a possibility, and everyone likes to work in different ways. Okay. Okay, so for the arms are all done, sanded up, and I laid my template out on here so that I could get a measurement for the holes. There's going to be 5 screws that just go right down from the top. Nice long screws into the legs, and then 1 in the cross brace here. And then once I had these 5 holes, I transferred those onto each arm, and they will be positioned on here. And then I'll drill down through here with a 3/8 inch Forstner bit. I had to be careful that these 2 screws on the front and the back legs, that they didn't hit the long 6-inch screws or the lag bolts going all the way through here. So they're positioned here and here, a little bit off center. I'm sorry, no, these are on center here. And then in the back they'll have to be off center a little bit because we do have lag bolts going this way as well. So that's how those will be positioned. So let's head to the drill press, and we'll use our 3/8 inch Forstner bit to drill out holes for the screws to go down in there. Alright, so we will use our 3/8 inch Forstner bit because that fits the screw plugs that I like to use. I have a screw plug cutter that is that size, and I'm just going to go down to just a little bit past the height of the bit head here. There. That should be good. That will allow our screw to go down in there. Still grab a good probably 7/8 of the wood, and then we'll be able to put a screw plug in there of the same wood to plug that up, make them flush, and then when we paint, we'll barely be able to see them. Alright, so we have the arm rest here placed on the carcass. I have it clamped down, and I've measured all the way around. I have about 5/16 gap or overlap on the inside, and 1 3/8 overlapping the front, so a hand can come over and kind of grab it here. So all I have to do is I'm going to use these just basic construction screws. These are 2.5 inches long, and set up a 1/8 inch drill bit to go that deep, and we'll just find that little indent left over from the Forstner bit, go straight down, And we'll get some of that gunk out of there. And then let me grab I guess I grabbed the wrong bit. I usually buy square drive screws, but I had some left over here that were Phillips drive. So I'm going to set my clutch pretty high. We'll try like about a 12. And that should do it. Do this one. This wood's soft. We still grabbed quite a bit of it, but I maybe could go down to about maybe 10 here for the clutch. There we go. Okay, so I'll go around and put the rest of these screws in, 5 per side, and then we'll drill some plugs for these out of the same wood, and we'll plug these. Alright, so I do work from this is a full size to scale drawing, just on a big piece of white kind of cardstock that hangs in the shop here on the wall. Whatever I'm building, I try to do something either half size or full size like this. And this kind of gives me all my dimensions, lays everything out where pieces will go. And then I can come up here, like right now we're putting the braces in for the seat. So I'll just take a measurement here. This is 1 1/8. And then I can set my measurements for the angle of this seat, starting at 1 1/8, and then over here, looks like it comes down to about 2 inches. So this helps me to kind of keep on track with what everything should look like and where everything is. It also helps me when I buy the lumber initially and doing kind of a cut list, so I know how much of this size I need, how much of this size, how much of this I need. So inside the chair, where I'm going to put this support in here, I have taken my 1 1/8 measurement from the drawing, transferred that line here, and then over here the 2 1/8 it turned out to be, transferred that back here. So now this gives just a slight, I think when I calculated it, it was about a 2 or 3 degree drop in the seat. I think that'll make it a little more comfortable. So all I want to do here is I want to put these, line these up, and then let me flip this over here. Line these up so they're right in the line, and then you can see here this, because there's an angle there, there's an angle here, and I'll just move my pencil away a little bit and let kind of the edge of my pencil ride on there, and I'll transfer this angle to here. And then I'll just cut that off, and I might even just use the disc sander or just cut that off so that it fits against there. And then what's left to do here is I will probably put glue on this on the inside. And probably just put like three screws here, and then up through here, while I have these off, I'll drill kind of a little Forstner bit hole, maybe I don't know, maybe about 3/8 of the way in, so that I can put a screw here, here, and probably just 2, one here and one here, that go up into the bottom seat. Is going to have an upholstered, cushioned top, but I'm going to double up on 3/4 inch plywood. So there's a nice thick piece of, it'll be basically about 1.5 inches of plywood underneath that 5-inch cushion. that's upholstered that'll sit in here. So there should be plenty of support with that. But 2 screws will kind of hold it in place here on the other side and 2 on the front. So I'm going to go and just countersink drill these 3 and countersink these, and then drill up here with the Forstner bit so the screw head kind of gets buried in there, about 1/4 inch, 3/8 of an inch. Alright. Okay, so for this to go against the side wall of the chair, in here I'm just going to countersink these so I can put a screw in there. And I'm using a countersink bit. Alright, now I'm going to switch out for the 3/8 inch Forstner bit. And that will drill my 2 marks here, and I'll just probably go in about the thickness of, or the depth of the head here. Just enough to hide the screw head when you screw up underneath here and catch that 1.5 inch double walled plywood for the seat. And now we'll go and attach these. Well, I guess I have one more to do. That's the front brace too. I'll do that and then we'll attach these. Okay, so we have our piece all ready, and it fits nicely if I line it up to the 2 lines here. A little bit of an angle, and then the angle is here. And then I have 3 countersink holes here ready for me to drill the screws. And then on the bottom I have the 2 kind of recessed holes for the screws to come up into the plywood. So I will put a little bit of glue on here. I'm a big fan of Tight Bond too, as is everyone else, I think. So just put a little bit along the back here. Move it back and forth a little bit. That should clamp it in pretty nice. The glue alone would be enough to hold this on, but I still want to put a couple of mechanical fasteners in there just because I like those. Alright, that should be right on. So for this I'm going to use just little number, these are 1 3/8 inch number 6 screws. And my thought here is this is the thickness here of the sidewall. And if I put these two together, and then a little bit of the countersink there, that's, see if you can see that there. That will go right in there and won't shoot out the other side. So I have a 3/32 inch drill bit and set right to the exact depth of the screw. We'll start up here in the front. And then I have my square drive bit. This wood is pretty soft. I'm going to set my clutch back to about 6. See how it feels. Doesn't need to be too tight, just so we see them. This sucked right up into, or right up against it. Go a little bit higher. Guess we went up to 8 there. Every drill is a little bit different. And that should be good. Clean up the little bit of glue in there. And we'll let that dry. Then we'll do the other 2 sides, and then we'll be ready to look at our backrest.